Vance caught in a firestorm after Chinese peasant comment. What? Guys, let's go and jump into this immediately. This is a suggestion via Discord. Let's do it.
A war of words is brewing over US Vice President J.D. Vance's recent comments about, quote, Chinese peasants. On Tuesday, Beijing slammed Vance for his comments that have drawn widespread ire and ridicule on China's internet in comparisons with Vance's own self-proclaimed hillbilly background. Our Will Ripley has the story.
Well, good morning, everybody.
The American hillbilly versus China's so-called peasants. It all started with this.
And to make it a little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. From Chinese peasants.
Vance's Chinese peasants comment reaching Beijing within hours. The government's...
Wow. Okay, I heard it. All right, so here's the thing. Bro, that's a bad look for you. I'm not gonna lie. Like you can't you can't say all of these things and then say something like that and then expect for people to not believe the things that people say. You get what I mean here, guys? That's not a thing. I don't think so. That shouldn't be a thing. If it is, then I'm confused. Let me logic this out though. The people who are building the majority of the things that America is basically purchasing are the poorest of the poor people in China. Now, to call them peasants, words mean things, guys, right? Words mean things, and I'm sure this it's like a loaded word, I'm guessing, right? But the poorest of the poor, let's say, are the ones who are, working the very menial labor for very menial sums, so gigantic corporations can reap, the largest profit they possibly can. Let's say here, guys, right? I'm not, hearing it it's a little shocking. We'll be honest. That's wild.
Response?
Thanking the president.
One hashtag about the Chinese peasants remark shot to the top of China's Twitter-like platform Weibo with millions of views and counting. Many comments boasting of China's modern achievements. Look, this is their true face, arrogant and rude as always. We may be peasants, but we have the world's best high-speed rail, the most powerful logistics, and leading AI and drone technologies. Aren't such peasants quite impressive?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I hear what you're saying here. Obviously, the sarcasm is in your face here, guys. But I want to know how far that would have, how far, like, I'm trying to look back, 60, 70 years at China before the West started basically sending their intellectual property, to China to, have them build things specifically because the labor was cheap. I hear what you're saying, bro, but I don't want to point out the dinosaur in the room here, bro. Okay, I don't want to do that, but all right.
Former Global Times editor Hu Xijin posted on Weibo, "This true peasant who came out of rural America seems to lack perspective. Many people are urging him to visit China and see reality with his own eyes."
Okay, I've been to China like 11 times, bro. China's beautiful. And that's just the fact. And I'm not just saying China as just saying China, but like all of the major cities that they have specifically along the coast are absolutely astonishing. Okay, they're far ahead. Okay, technologically, but again, how much of that has to do with, again, the intellectual property that the West has basically thrown over there?
Many in China are interpreting Vance's comments as describing all Chinese people. Some even
that's
referencing
not the case.
Vance's memoir and movie.
How many times have you seen this?
As one social media post put it, the author of Hillbilly Elegy is calling Chinese peasants? Really? Incidentally, Hillbilly Elegy was translated into Mandarin. It's actually a bestseller in China. But the vice president's soundbite has spiraled into yet another war of words between the U.S. and China. Many Chinese are calling his remark proof of what they call American arrogance, as if U.S.-China tensions weren't bad enough over things like tariffs, technology, Taiwan. CNN has reached out to J.D. Vance's office for comment, and so far, nothing.
Why would he respond to you, bro? Like, I mean, I hear you, like, but just why would he specifically respond to CNN knowing that the response is just going to be a pure hit job? This is basically a hit job, but he did say some craziness at the same time, and you have to make sure you can't just let that go. That's wild. But the fact that the people that are actually responding to this are not fully grasping the truths in the matter, let's say, is wild. Now, calling the poorest of the poor people peasants is wild. Okay, it's wild. But they are the poorest of the poor people doing these jobs. All right, so I mean, maybe there's another term that could have been used, right? But I'm not sure anything could have been said that would have been beneficial. And the fact that Weibo specifically is allowing this but not allowing any of the other things on their platform, it says that they're definitely trying to stoke, let's say, hatred towards the West by default. Because generally, if this had anything to do with China, guess what would have happened? All right, it would have been radio silence.
Will Ripley, CNN, Taipei.
Well, China, now facing 104% tax on its goods entering the United States, is also hitting back, Beijing announcing it will retaliate with an 84% levy on its own on US imports.
Okay.
And the Bank of England here is issuing a stark warning saying, quote, the global risk environment has deteriorated and uncertainty has intensified. CNN correspondent Anna Stewart is here with me in London. Anna, the markets opened, just half an hour ago. Been pretty volatile today, especially after that announcement from China. What have we been seeing in the interim?
Well, markets were pretty unsettled when they opened on Wall Street. We can check in on them now. I believe they are now trading a little bit higher
Positive.
at this stage. Can't tell you why, Christina. We are just looking at extreme volatility every day. Roll with the punches. We are seeing oil prices much lower, at their lowest since February 2021. This is as investors are very concerned that we could be looking at a global recession.
Let me see what this looks like here. Yeah.
We are seeing bond yields spike. This is for the US 10-year Treasury. This is suggesting, of course, there are concerns about the US's status as a safe haven in a long-term time frame, which is pretty concerning. And we've seen really unsettled markets in Europe and in Asia.
Well, my understanding is that if the US markets close just a few percentages down today, we will be in bear market territory if we're not there already. Talk to us about some of the sort of financial terminology we may hear percolating today.
Let's give you some light
as
relief.
The markets move.
Bear market territory is when an asset or particularly a stock index closes 20% lower than its recent high. So there is a figure that investors have for that, and they'll be watching that very closely. You can be in bear market territory, but not in a bear market until it actually closes at that price.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, listen, hold on. Understand this specific thing about stocks. I'm sure if you're already in the markets, you kind of understand this already. But guys, you don't lose money. You don't lose money until you sell, right? Please understand that. Like, soak that in here. You can freak out and all these other things, but generally everything tracks right back up at some time. Look at the 08 recession, let's say, okay? Everything goes right back. Look at the Great Depression, bro, all right? Everything goes back up, all right? So you don't really lose money until you sell. That just means never stop investing, guys, all right? Like, yeah, definitely bear market territory. That's the fact here. But that bear market territory is going to very quickly turn into bull market territory, specifically when it comes to like the billionaires and millionaires out there, guys, right? They're going to buy up everything, I'm telling you, because they know, like I know, everything is going to move up. That's why when I saw Tesla, specifically, the stock dropping, I was like, I'm in. Okay, I immediately went in pretty hard in Tesla. And then within yesterday, listen, all right? Hopefully you guys got, specifically if you guys play the market at least, hopefully you guys jumped into Tesla when the left was basically melting. I hope you did, all right? All right, America has a very short memory. Remember that when all of these news entities are speaking like this, guys.
Dead cat bounce.
Now, I don't know who's
last
responsible
24
for this, but the saying is that even a dead cat will bounce if you drop it high enough. This is another one for markets. Now, a dead cat bounce is usually referring to perhaps you're seeing asset prices rise, but then they fall again. So it's just a temporary relief. Perhaps that's what we saw yesterday. You could maybe call that a dead cat.
Yeah, they're hoping for the failure of the market, guys. Imagine these people, bro. They're waiting for people's like IRAs and 401ks to specifically just completely be gone. The dead cat specifically happens more so in, I'd say, crypto.
But then they fall again. So it's just a temporary relief. Perhaps that's what we saw yesterday. You could maybe call that a dead cat bounce.
So as people are looking
Crazily.
for the market to, quote, bottom out, I mean, this is what we could be seeing.
There are people trying to buy the dip is our next one.
Buy the dip, yep.
You're
Buy the
hoping,
dip.
obviously, as asset prices fall, to try and find its bottom, get it cheap, and hope that prices
Yep,
rise.
buy the dip.
And my favourite one of the lot, catch a falling knife.
This is when buying the dip goes wrong.
Right.
You
Yeah,
never want to catch a falling knife.
that's like, I'm telling, that's crypto. I would say this is, I mean, don't get me wrong here, stock prices do this here, but I think crypto has more of a chance to, you know, be a falling knife, bro.
You want to get it when it has fallen. It would hurt. But these are just some of the many sayings. We could do this every day. They're all kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy them.
I really do. That last one sounds a bit like an 80s power ballad to me, so I am enjoying it. But look, as we kind of look to what comes next, the chances of global recession are being upped, it feels, by the day here. We mentioned bond markets, the price of commodities as well, oil, gold, all pointing really to an acceleration towards a recession.
Well, at the end of last week, we had JP Morgan, I think it was, raising the likelihood of a recession from 40% to 60%. And that was just based on so-called Liberation Day and China retaliating. But
Right.
now we have the US retaliating against China, retaliating again. We have the EU, which has just announced it will also be implementing tariffs against the US.
They've already have, the guys, this is, I think we're done with this video here. The problem with the EU is that the EU definitely, in fact, already does have tariffs against the United States of America. They've had them. Like this isn't like brand new information, but for some reason it seems like because people are absolutely up in arms that the United States of America, the world's largest consumer base, is kind of pushing back against the nonsense. Like if you're tariffing us, why are you surprised that we're going to tariff you back? How about you drop the tariffs and allow our companies to function adequately in your nation? If that's the case, at least, right? I think fair is fair. I also think that that's probably the moderate position here, guys. But all right, guys, all right, and guys, and keep this in mind. I lived half the year in Spain, right, the south of Spain, Andalusia, Costa del Sol, Malaga, right. And the thing is, there are stores that are set up in the south of Spain and kind of all over Spain. They're called like American markets, where they have like American candies and sodas and like bags of chips and snacks and things where people basically do tourism inside of the stores. And this is where basically a can of root beer soda may actually cost you $10. All right, understand the craziness here. One can. It used to be 75 cents can. I don't know how much these cans are now. I don't drink soda anymore, guys. Right? But I'm trying to point out, I'm trying to tell you exactly what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, a Butterfingers bar of chocolate, right? May cost you like $2 or so in the store, but over there, it's like $7. Okay? This is what I'm trying to explain to you, all right? They've already had tariffs on us. This isn't brand new information. Like the average person is not going to go into these stores and say, you know what, I want to go to an American store today. Let's go ahead and buy things that cost basically 3,000% more. Okay, tariffs. They've already been tariffing us, bro. Right, and American cars are even crazier over there. But all right, you know what? Listen. It seems like CNN is completely, fine with the nonsense. They're like, you know what? How dare we, the richest country on earth, get tired of giving money away to people? How dare we? Yeah, bro, what are you talking about, CNN? But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And again, that comment that Vance made was wild. Okay, that's just the reality of the situation. It was a wild comment to make. You have to understand that there is weight to words. There are a gigantic amount of people who want to act like that's not a thing, but there is definitely weight to words, specifically in a time where I have no idea how old the comment was also, right? But guys, there's definitely some weight on words, okay? And to call someone a peasant is probably considered derogatory. To be honest, nowadays at least. And obviously they took it as that exactly. I have no idea what it translates to. That could, as a matter of fact, hold on. They were once a dynasty. Okay? So now trying to put that into perspective here, what could that actually translate? Like, so in English, calling someone a peasant, I mean, it's just disrespectful, right? But what if it doesn't, maybe the weight is heavier there when you call someone a peasant specifically, right? It could be that. I'm telling you, it's probably that. It's probably why so many people are up in arms about it. Most likely. I'm telling you. He shouldn't have said it, no. In that period, right? But it doesn't mean the same thing as it could mean to a culture that once had, kings. Okay, just a thought here. Calling someone a peasant is wild, specifically to people who were like in a culture that historically had kings and queens. All right, and that's probably the issue. To be honest, that's what I'm getting here at least. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. I'll catch you later.